ever feel like like you're just like you're falling apart? Like has your world just imploded around you, or feels like it has imploded around you and you can't make head nor tails of what's going on in your mind or your world? You can't figure out what you want to do or how you want to do it or what you should do or what you shouldn't do, that you just feel so lost. Excuse me, so desperate, so broken in your environment that you wonder if any of it's worth it, and it would just be so much easier to not be here. Many of us have, and I am going through something very similar to that right now. And that's what in this video I'm going to talk to you about, you know, what's sort of going on and what you can do about it, and how you can start to make these shifts and these changes. So join me if you want to understand how to deal with, or have an understanding or awareness of how to deal with the most difficult times of your life. Hi. So, no one ever tells us before we get here, or we don't recall, right, ever being told, or when you're a kid, that you probably shouldn't have signed up to this crazy thing called life, because it has a lot of ups and downs and a lot of bad moments, and you, more often than not, we feel like we're trudging up an uphill battle. And the first thing that I hope that I can get you to understand, no matter where your situation is coming from, no matter where you're coming from at this moment, no matter what's happening to you right now, whether it is, your relationship just ended, or you think it just ended, or you lost your job, you have no idea how you're going to pay your bills, or someone you love died, or someone you love is threatening to die, wants to die, doesn't want to be here anymore. It doesn't matter. Whatever your situation is, okay, whether you've been in a big accident, it doesn't matter what it is. Your health is deteriorating, or you can't figure out what's wrong with you, and you're so tired of dealing with the medical systems. It doesn't matter what the situation is. The first thing I want to implore to you, and it is a lifesaver for me. So first I'm going to back up and share with you that at this exact moment in time in my life, it feels like my world has blown up around me. And it wasn't expected. It wasn't wanted. It wasn't the desire. But this is the first thing that, you have to go to sort of the steps, and you got to do them right, like in order. And the reason, like my world, it feels like it has blown up around me. And the reason that I'm not curled up in a ball, wanting to die is because the very first step that you go through is you have to realize that no matter what your head is saying, no matter what your brain is telling you, there is exceptionally, majoritively, in real life, very good chances it is full of shit. Your brain is full of shit. Now, our brains are full of shit most of the time, just so you know, okay? We have programmed our brain, society has programmed your brain to justify absolutely everything that's going on in your life, that it's not your fault, you play no role, and none of this is about responsibility or non-responsibility, okay? I just want you to understand that your brain's automatic defense mechanism is to go into excuses and justification for why you feel the way you feel. It's also going to, if you allow it, continue to spiral out of control, continue to tell you yourself all of those things over and over and over again, to force you to believe that is your truth, okay? It's all my fault, or I should have seen it coming, or they never loved me in the first place, or nobody cares about me, so they're not willing to find out, or it's all in my head and there's actually there's not something wrong with me, even though it feels like there's something wrong with me. It doesn't matter what the story is. It doesn't matter what the story is. They've had to have cheated, a relationship falling apart. They've had to have cheated on me. It doesn't matter what the story is, because we all know what our own stories are that are going on in our head. 90% of what you're thinking about right now is full of shit. It's not the truth. Okay? It is not the truth. It is your brain's defense mechanism kicking in to try to protect you, and it doesn't protect you. Okay, it's like a computer system. It's giving you knowledge that it has in its back end to assist you. That's what it's trying to do, but it's not assisting you because it has the wrong information. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing that you got to understand, and you are not going to like this, you can't, no one else, you cannot get anyone else to fix it. And as long as you keep allowing yourself to think the way that you're thinking, you won't come up with any solutions. The other part of your brain won't kick in to come up with your solutions. Now, I can give you all kinds of terminology so that you can understand what I'm saying, but you don't need it, okay? You have different parts of your brain. One that's going to justify and give you all of the information based from all the information it has, and how many times you felt sorry for yourself, and how many times you feel like you've been wronged done by, and how many times you've hurt, and how many times you don't want to anymore. All of that just comes rushing into your head, right? This is normal. So that's first thing, okay? This is normal, to convince yourself that everything that you've experienced for all of these years has been a lie. Nobody meant it. Nobody cares about you. Nobody loves you. I just want to go into the garden and eat worms, okay? It's a lie. It's a lie. It isn't the truth. So that's the first thing you got to understand. And until you can tell yourself, until you can come to the awareness, until you can continue to have the conversation with, no, I'm not, this is not at this, like, yes, I know that's how I'm feeling, but this is not the truth, okay? My life has not been a lie. It's not the truth. Until you can start to get yourself to see and understand that, you're not going to come up with any viable options, of any viable ideas, of anything that, you know, you're going to try to do what you think you're supposed to do, right? So I'm going to use a scenario for you. So let's say that you've been struggling for a long time, and you've been married, and you were happily married, and you love the person that you're with, that you've been married to. You love them more than anything in life, even as you're choosing to leave. Or you're thinking that's what you have to do. You love them. And you think in your head that it would be better for them. So first you give yourself all kinds of excuses, and you tell yourself all the reasons why you can't trust them, why they're not your safety anymore, why you think that they're going to try to harm you, why you think that they don't care about you, why you think that they don't want you. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to convince yourself that everybody that is in your life with them, and I'm just going to use this as a scenario because it's the easiest one I can understand, right? You're going to convince yourself that everybody that is in your life with them are only in your life with them because of them. They're connected to them. So you, excuse me, can't have anything to do with them, because they will, you know, tell your partner, they'll keep everything going, they'll try to convince you to go back, they'll do all of these things, which is also 80% of the time not the truth. Okay. So then you also tell yourself that everybody would be so much better off. Like when you are really depressed, when you're suffering depression, which is usually when we make our decisions and choices, when you're feeling so low, you just can't get out from under the ground. Okay. You just feel like you're in so deep that there's no way to climb out of that hole. You convince yourself that there is no way to get out. And so then you try to tell yourself that there's these steps that you should take. You know, step one, you know, make sure I can pay my rent, you know, the logistical side, even though that's the last thing that you want to do. And that's okay. That's okay. If that's like, if you're in that position and you're starting your life all over again and you think you just need to go get a job, you know, and then that's okay. But while you're doing all of that, while you're doing those logical or intellectual steps that you think are the right steps to take so that you can disappear from your world, you also have to remind yourself that you are choosing to disappear, that you are choosing to keep telling yourself these things because they're not true. Doesn't matter what your scenario is. I can absolutely promise you it's not true. It's not true. Now, that does not mean that it's not right for you to go, or that the situation that you were in was the right one, or, you know, it was wrong of you to make rash decisions. It means that you're making these decisions and choices from the wrong place. You're making these decisions and choices from fear, anxiety, worry, being overwhelmed. You are not making these decisions from a place of intellect, knowledge, true memory. That's not where your decision making or your thought processing is coming from. So you got to acknowledge that. And as much as my situation is a little bit different, that's what I had to do. I had to remind myself, like, because this is step 2. No matter what you're hearing, no matter what anyone's saying, you're probably misinterpreting it, first. And second, if the people that are talking to you are the same people that are involved in the situation, they're scared too. Right? So don't believe anything other people are saying. And I don't mean other people like people that want to help you. I mean, like, I'm using the example of your relationship just blew up. Okay. Don't believe what your partner's saying either. Don't believe the words that they're using, because they're in self-preservation. They're in fear. They're in anxiety. They're in overwhelmment. You know, I teach this program called 90 Days to Success. And this is what this video is for. And I'm going to stick it on YouTube too, but this is what this video is for. You have to acknowledge that you got to acknowledge a few things. First of all, the people that are directly involved, and I don't mean your extra people. I don't mean your friends, your family, unless they don't like your partner. I don't mean those things. I mean the person, okay? The person or anyone that is absolutely directly involved in what you're going through, they're just as scared too, okay? They're just as scared too. Okay. Now, chances are very good, if you're going through a very difficult time, everybody in your life, including that person, is probably approaching you saying, I want to help you. I'm here for you. And it's a very tough thing to trust. It's a very tough thing to trust. Okay. And it's a very tough thing to trust, because how can you possibly know if they are trying to reach out to you because they want to help you, or they're trying to reach out to you because they want to manipulate you? Because that's how your brain works, right? Your brain is like, I can't trust them. They're going to manipulate me, right? On top of that, you're giving yourself all the reasons why you're not good enough, why you're not worthy enough, why you're not smart enough, why you're incapable. Doesn't matter what the scenario is. Doesn't matter what the scenario is. It's that's what you're going to do. And so it's okay to make those initial decisions and choices. Like, I'm going to go find work, or I'm going to go to the doctors and try to get some help. And as a matter of fact, if you are really struggling with your depression, if you are thinking that life is better to not be lived, it's a very scary thing to go ask for help, but it is something that you need to do, because you have to understand. And I am not an advocate. I am a therapist, but I am not an advocate of therapy. I'm a coach, because I'm not an advocate of therapy. And I'm not an advocate of therapy because I don't actually believe that with the information you give to the therapist, they can actually help you accordingly, because the information that you're giving them is the information that's going on in your head. And even on good days, 80% of what's going on in your head is full of shit, right? But being able to get it out, okay? The reason that I am an advocate of therapy is because being able to get it out of your mouth and out of your brain, it may not change anything in the words that you're using, but when you remove something, like, you got to think of your brain like it's a big overloaded heavy garbage can. Big overloaded heavy garbage can. And I apologize that I'm going to go in all different kinds of directions, but I'm doing this on the fly with you, right? It's like this big heavy overloaded garbage can, and there's no more room for it. So what do you do in that situation? Let's treat this like it's regular life. Forget what's going on. What do you do? What do you do in your life if the garbage is so full you can't fit anything else into it? What do? You empty the garbage. That's what you do. And that's what you need to do. If you need to start treating and thinking of your mind like it is this big overloaded garbage can, just full of garbage, there is no room for anything else. So you seek out the help so that you can empty the trash. Because once you get those thoughts out, you know, I have always been like this open book, which is a detriment to some people in my life, because I'm not very good at knowing. I'm very good at, privacy, but I'm not very good, because if it's affecting me, I get caught up in the thing. If it's affecting me, it's got to be about me, and that doesn't make it true. So I get very caught up in, I need to get everything out, and I don't go to therapists. So I'm like, blah, I get it all out as fast as I can. And the reason that I do that is because if I don't get it out of my head, it stays in my head. And if it stays in my head, there is not enough room. There is not enough room in here. It's a full garbage bag. There's not enough room in here for me to think anything else. And so this is what happens. When you purge it all out, and I always typically, especially when I'm going through a difficult time, I always typically start with, this might all sound crazy and I'm so sorry, but I just need to talk. And so you get it all out. And what happens is as soon as you do that, it's like it takes off. It's like a pressure cooker. It just takes off the pressure. It just lets out the steam. And it lets out just enough. It doesn't mean it's gone. It just lets out just enough for there to be room, in that garbage can of your brain to start to have other things pop up, right? Now, here's where the downfall is, because one of the reasons that we don't let it out of our head is that we don't want to feel those things. And this is so important. When you're going through a difficult time in your life, like you're going through what you think is a breakup or whatever, or what is a breakup, because that could, that could be your scenario. But if you're going through very difficult times, you don't see an end result. You don't see any clarity. And you don't want to hurt. You're already hurting. You're already devastated. You're already overwhelmed. We typically won't get it all out because we don't want there to be any other room. It's self-preservation. We don't want there to be any other room for all that stuff to come in. But understand that no matter how full your garbage can is, that shit is still going to come in. That hurting, that devastation, that, oh my God, I don't think I can breathe, those anxieties, that feeling like you just can't handle anything, it's still going to happen. It's still going to happen. It just is. Okay? So you're going to go through that, whether you get this stuff out of your head or you don't get this stuff out of your head. But I'm here to tell you that if you talk it out, even if it doesn't make any sense, even if it's gibberish, even if you sound like an asshole, even if everybody's going to believe you, even though what you're saying isn't true, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay? If you leave some room in your brain, other things are going to start to come in. Other memories, other awarenesses, it's going to leave room for the other side of your brain, because it's like this battle. I mean, most of our brains are like the good and the bad, right? The devil and both shoulders fighting each other. No, this is it. No, this is it. No, this is it. And because you're so full over here of this lying, manipulative part of your brain, there's no room for the other part of your brain, the rationality, to actually come through and share anything. But when you talk it all out, you just purge it all out. And you can purge it if you're not somebody who likes to talk. You can write it. You can write it out too. You can sit on a rock and just talk to the universe, right? Talk to your loved ones that are passed on. That's a way to get it out too. You don't have to talk to people. When you do that, there comes room for some truths to come in. And here's some truths that are really important. No matter what you're going through, you are absolutely loved. You are absolutely loved. You are loved by someone, somewhere. And no matter what is going on in your life, it has not always been like this. You will probably feel like you have been in this exact place before, so nothing's changed. You will probably even think to make the same steps. It's not the same. Nothing in your life is the same, okay? You are a different human. Doesn't matter if you went through the same thing 6 months ago. You are not the same human. You are not the same person. You are stronger. You are stronger than you were yesterday, and you were pretty strong yesterday, right? So room starts to come into your brain for you to start thinking other things, and you got to allow that in. You got to allow the knowing and the knowledge that these decisions and choices you're making, they have nothing to do with love. They don't even have anything to do with want. They have everything to do with self-protection, self-preservation. And if it's being done to you, if somebody has blown your world up, in your opinion, or you've been left, or they are doing self-preservation. It is not about you. This is a really tough thing for us to understand as human beings, because we don't even realize that we think that everything is about us. It is not about you. It is not about you. When somebody else is struggling, when somebody else is going through things, even the things that took place are not all about you. It doesn't mean you didn't play a role, but they're not all about you. Just like you. See, we forget that everybody is the same. And just like you have all these, when you're struggling in your life, you got all these crazy thoughts that are going on. You try to convince yourself of things. And thank God we don't say everything we think. We would destroy people all around us if we actually said everything we think, right? And I think that's a part of the problem with our world today, just so you know, is everybody saying everything they think. How about you stop saying everything you think unless you're struggling, and then go choose who you're going to say it to, okay? If you're in the situation that you were the one left, or it's not all about you. You're in self-preservation, they're in self-preservation, you've been struggling, that's why there's been a problem, they've been struggling, that's why there's been a problem. And so don't make it. Decide in your mind to not make what you're going through all about you, right? That's the second or third thing. And then you don't stop. And what I mean by that is once those other thoughts start to come in on the other side of your brain, that, really they did love you, and they then, do that, go through the emotion, and then go purge to the universe again. Go write it or talk it out loud again, and let more come in, and do it again and let more come in. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Okay? But here's the other thing that's unbelievably important. No matter what, for everybody, and this is probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do, okay? Because, it is so hard. It is so hard to not want to make all your decisions right away because you go into survival mode. And if you've been left, or you've done the leaving, and you found yourself a safe place temporarily, slow your roll. Don't make any major decisions. Don't make any major decisions. Only make the decisions you have to. You have no choice but to make. Not the decisions you're telling yourself you have no choice to make, but the actual decisions you have no choice to make, okay? So if you don't have a job and you don't have any money, you have to find a job. And at that moment, the only thing that matters is finding a job, first of all, so that you can have money, regardless of how much money it is. You'll figure it out. That's the other thing you got to remind yourself. You will figure it out. Okay, I promise you. No matter what you're going through in your life, you are smarter than you think you are. So you'll figure it out. So if you have no money, get a job. You figure it out from there. And you've got a place to go. So maybe you can be so busy that you're doing something at your job that you can't think so much. Wouldn't that be nice if you could just shut it off? But don't make any major life decisions, okay? So I'm going to use the relationship thing as an example. Let's say you want to get out of your relationship and you're just not happy, and you've convinced yourself of all these things, and you've told yourself you're all these things. I can tell you for sure at least 60% of what you're telling yourself is a lie. Don't go hire a lawyer, okay? Don't go file for divorce. It doesn't mean you're not going to. It doesn't mean you won't at a later date, okay? It doesn't mean you won't choose that, but you have to know. You have to know that you need to, because that's the other problem that we make, right? We make these really life-altering, rash decisions without giving ourselves any chance to slow down or to think it through once we can get out of our brain, once we can actually be intellectual and put pieces together and remember things. And so don't make rash decisions. Don't make any rash decision that you do not have to make, okay? If you don't have money, you need a job, you have to make that decision. You have to make that decision. But anything else, if it is not an immediate, absolute necessity in order for me to live and breathe, don't make the decision. Just hold. Just hold. And then think about you. When you're thinking, think about you. Don't let yourself go into this cycle of, oh my God, I love them and I miss it. You're allowed to love and miss, and you're allowed to, what are they thinking? What are they doing? I've made such a mistake. Maybe I need to go back, because we do that. We make these rash decisions. We bounce back and forth, and you cause a lot of damage. Okay. It's really important. Hurting people hurt other people. Broken people break people. Now, I've hurt people when I'm hurting. I've broken people when I'm broken. So have you. Okay. That's the problem with these rash decisions, right? When you make these rash decisions, that's what you're going to do. Make the bare minimum necessity decisions. And I understand that there may be people that you don't trust to help, that you don't want to help. And I understand that it might be your personality that help is never the option. That you would rather be homeless, living in the middle of a forest somewhere. You could handle a zombie apocalypse, no problem. Don't do that. When your brain is in this headspace, you are not capable of helping yourself. You're not capable of helping yourself. That does not mean you are not capable of helping yourself. You are a brilliant person. You're a brilliant person. You're capable. When your brain is functioning in any right way, you are capable. So don't do that. Don't do that. Right? Let them help you. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. And you don't have to let everybody help you. And you don't have to let the people you're not trusting right now help you. But if there is people in your life, no matter what you're going through, that you love, okay, that have not hurt you, that are not a part of your story, that are not a part of your problem, that are not a part of your struggle, don't push them out. Let them help you. I can promise you that just like you, they want to. Just like if they were going through what you're going through right now, you would want to help them. And you wouldn't care about ever getting it back, or you wouldn't care. You wouldn't care. They want to help you. Let them. Let them. It might sound so crazy, but just being able to have a pair of slippers like the ones you had that you forgot to pack, or a cup of regular coffee first thing in the morning, and where you are, there's no coffee machine. Doesn't matter. Those little things that you can keep your routine steady, or as much of your pattern, not the unhealthy pattern, but the healthy pattern that you can keep going, the easier it will be for you to start to get through yourself mentally. It's truth. Let them. They want to. They want to. And 99% of the time, none of them will ever ask for it back. They don't want it back. Okay? They want the same thing as you. If they're ever going through that really difficult time, they want you to be open to helping them if you can. So let them. It is not a sign of weakness. A sign of weakness in our human being mentality is when we refuse to let people help us. We refuse to seek help or let people help us because we do not believe we're worthy. That is all about our self-belief. That is all. If you refuse to let people help you, it is your self-belief. It is you are so screwed up in your head right now that you think that you deserve this somehow, that this is justified, okay? Or that it's all your fault, or you put yourself here. I mean, how many times have we heard in our lifetime, you made your bed and you lie in it, right? Let the people who love you help you. Talk it out, whether you're talking to someone else without worrying about what they're going to think or feel, or you're talking to the universe, God, Kermit the Frog, or you're talking to a loved one that's passed on. Get it out. Get some room in your head for rationality, for real thinking, right? Start focusing or trying to focus on what your strengths are, not your weaknesses. And when you're in a really low place, when you're in a really bad emotional center, that is probably the hardest thing to do. That's probably the hardest thing to do. But you got to force yourself to do it. You got to force yourself to do it. Because if you don't, this awful place, it's just going to be there longer. It's just going to take you longer. Because whether you decide to start figuring your shit out or you don't, it's still going to have to get figured out. You're still going to have to do it. And so the longer you keep living in this full garbage can in your head, the longer it's going to take you to figure it out. Now, the last thing that I want to share with you that I use all the time, and it's sort of one of my survival mechanisms when things are going hard, because it doesn't matter how amazing your life is. It doesn't matter. You can have the best of life and it can blow up in a second. You can be happily married, lots of money in the bank, and you can wake up one day and someone stole all your money, or you got an assessment and the government took it, or, you know, you can roll over to go give your partner a hug and a kiss and they're dead. They're not breathing. It doesn't matter how good your life is. It doesn't matter what is going on. It can blow up in an absolute heartbeat. It can devastate you in an absolute flash, or Or it can have taken time and you think your world blew up. You think your world blew up, but it didn't. But it really didn't. Right? So just remember, just remind yourself, you can get through anything. And when things are really, really dark, this is one of the tools that I use all the time because it makes it so much easier. The best things that have ever happened in my life, meeting the love of my life, came from one of the darkest times of my life. It came from coming through one of the darkest times of my life. Finding my career, figuring out what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be, came from a time in my life where I didn't think I could breathe. I didn't think I was qualified or capable of doing anything. I was broken. And I built an incredible career from it that I've loved for many years. The darkest times bring us the greatest moments. The greatest moments. So no matter what you're going through, as long as you let it, as long as you don't give up, you can find a solution. Where we get to the point that we give up is that we don't take those first few steps. We don't get it out of our head. We don't yell it, scream it, talk it to the universe if that's what you need to do. We don't get it out of our head. We sit in it like it's bad soup. It's mud. It gets stinky and overwhelming. And then it gets so big and so overpowering that it becomes a hoarder in your brain and you can't clear it out. It's too much. It's too much. I just can't do it. That's when we choose to give up because we can't, that's when we leave life because we can't make any sense of it. And you can't make any sense of it because you're too busy telling yourself you deserve this position. Nobody, I don't care what you've done, devastation is not about deservability. It's situationally. It's about resetting your world. It's about resetting your world. That's what it's about. And every bad thing, no matter what it is, can turn into the greatest thing that's ever happened to you, or it can turn into a good thing that's happening to you. Not everything going on ends up bad, and bad always brings something good. Our life is never, think about the amount of things in your life that you could have never imagined or dreamed. Not think about the things that are going on in your life right this second that you could have never imagined or dreamed. Think about the things that have gone on in your life that you could have never ever even thought of were possible. I'll give you an example in my life. I was broken and devastated, and I was a single mom, and I'd been a former abused, and my ex was just making my life a living hell. And I never thought, I was a 500-pound woman. I hated my life. I hated my world. I didn't think I could parent. I didn't think I could do anything. And the only thing I thought I was good at was finally what I'd figured out what to do in my job. And I never believed that I could be loved. And then by some fluke, by a message on a chat program, I got to meet the man who saved my soul. I got to start a whole new journey in life that no matter how hard things are right now, it is such an amazing journey that I got to participate in. And that's how you start to change your thinking. Like, man, if God or the universe or Kermit Frog sits down with you while you're going through these really difficult times and goes, okay, if you just breathe through this is going to be your outcome. You do it in a heartbeat. And I know that you're not doing it in a heartbeat because you don't have God, Jesus, the universe, Kermit the Frog, whatever, sitting down in front of you saying you can do this. But it's still the same answer. Just because you can't hear it doesn't mean it isn't true. Doesn't mean it isn't true. Okay? If you can love someone once, you can love somebody a million times, but you need them to heal. If you can love, you'll love again. If you're broken, you'll put it back together. You will find a way. I promise you. You are the strongest person you will ever know. You are the strongest person you will ever know. And be proud of that. And get the garbage bag out of your brain. Okay? I hope you all have a great day. If you liked this video, like and subscribe. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more over the next few months. Have a good day.